It's time for a Dirt Daily. I'm going to get this Jeep ready for its new owner because one of you might be the next owner of this Jeep. This is a 93 YJ. I've had it for a while. I actually did some videos on it. That was called Working From Home. It was a thing on Motor Trend when there was like the pandemic and we weren't filming officially. We were just kind of filming stuff at home. And I worked on this Jeep. It's kind of a funny story. I got this Jeep and the top blew off and all this mayhem happened, which if you've watched those videos, you've seen it. Well, I really like it, but I really don't need it. It's a good little Jeep, but somebody else needs this in their garage. So the first step is to get some better seats in it. Not that this milk crate isn't comfortable and ergonomically correct, but it's not very comfortable and it's definitely not ergonomically correct. Plus it's not very safe. So I'm gonna mount some new seats in here because, well, that's what you need to start with. You need a place to sit to drive your new Jeep. One of you is gonna love this thing. All right, let's find some seats for it. Let go of get out of here. These are the first set of seats I got for the Jeep. Low back, Bestop trail seats. Super simple. They come with brackets that you can, they have sliders that you can order for them. I like the idea of low back seats because it was just a simple little Jeep. Manual transmission, little 4-cylinder engine. I put the sport cage in it so it would look cool with just 2 seats, black wheels, black tires, black doors, just simple. I wanted tan originally and then I thought, no, maybe I should get black. Actually, when I ordered them, they didn't have tan. And then I ordered black and then tan showed up. And I was like, well, that's cool because I think they'll look cool in here even with tan. But there's one little problem, which I have dove into before, and I'm not really sure that these seats are gonna be perfect for this Jeep. In the bottom of the YJ, the floor is not flat. Like it's flat here, but then it steps up there, and then it steps up again in the front, and it has a hump over the transmission. So the framework is not simple. You basically need to track down the factory framework to have it go in there easily. You could build a cage and build some tubes across and do a bunch of stuff, but I was like, you know what, my goal is to get this Jeep together without spending a bunch of money so that I can sell it for not a bunch of money. Because I really, my goal would be to find some kid that wants to have a Jeep as their first vehicle, and I can sell it to them and they can take it from the point where I have it now to the next level. I mean, it's got good tires. It's going to be cool looking when it's done, but it won't be perfect, which is a perfect first Jeep for somebody because then they can do all their stuff to it that they want to do. If they want to lift it more or, whatever kids do to Jeeps, stereos and all that gadgetry. So to get the first Mastercraft seat in here, I bolted it to the slider system that comes from Bestop, and then I bolted it to a bracket that is the factory floor riser. And this is what it looks like. So here's the factory floor riser, there's the slider, and this all bolts together to the low back seat. There's 2 studs in the bottom of the riser, one on the outside, one on the inside, and then there's 2 holes. So it's kind of neat because you set this thing down in, the studs line it up, and then you drill, or you don't drill, you put bolts through the holes into some threaded inserts on the floor. So this just has to come in here and line up with the holes in the floor. Just like that. Looks perfect. So from this point of view, the seat looks really good. I mean, low back, cool with the cage, just simple, nice, clean. This is the problem. It's kind of hard to tell, but there is almost no room between the Bestop seat and the steering wheel. And this Jeep doesn't have tilt. This doesn't have a tilt steering column. This is the base model Jeep. So if I try to get in here, like, that's not going to work. I am so far up into the steering wheel that it's not comfortable. And if I slide the seat back, I can't touch the pedals. So basically, these seats are designed for a CJ that sits lower. And this steering column and these bracketries and this seat don't jive together. Which I'm not 100% bummed out about, because I really like these seats and I have another project, of course, that I want to put them in. So the good thing is that I'm not wasting the seats. I can put the seats in something else. The bad thing is that the nice, cool, low back seats that are on the sliders, that are on the framework, that are bolted, ready to bolt into the Jeep, won't bolt in because they're too tall. So unless you have legs like sticks, you're probably not going to want to do this setup. Come on back out. Since the Bestops aren't going to work, I found these seats. These are from Mastercraft. They are a little bit faded because they've been outside. I think these are actually the same seats that we had in the Winnebago when we took it out to Las Vegas and did a donut and flopped it over. These were the suspension seats in the Winnebago. They're a little dirty. They're a little kind of purple, the fade, sun fade, but I really like Mastercraft seats. They're good, they're supportive. It's a fixed seat, it doesn't recline. It's a suspension seat, so it's pretty good off-road. I run this style in a lot of my off-road vehicles. So I was thinking, well, maybe I can make these work. But then I ran into the same problem again, because this seat from butt to bottom is really the same size as the Bestop from there to there. So I'm finding that both of these seats are going to be a problem, because they're going to if I put them in there, they're going to be raised up so high that you will be rammed into the steering wheel as you try to drive. So even if I take these up here, I put the seat risers in there, but I didn't put the sliders in, and I set them in here. They look like they'd be good, but when they come up to the slider height, they will also be too tall. So now both of my sets of seats that I thought I was going to use, I'm going to have to save for another project. So let's set these out of the way. The goal of this Jeep is to sell it, because I have other Jeeps that I want to be working on. And even though this is a really cool Jeep, I have lots of really cool Jeeps, and I would really be stoked if some kid sees the video and it's like, Mom, Dad, I want to buy this Jeep. I want to drive it to school next year. It's going to need a little bit of work, but if I can not invest too much money into it, then I can send it down to the next owner and he or she can fix it up however they see fit. So in that mindset, I don't want to spend a lot of money on seats. The Bestop seats I think would be really cool, but because they don't really fit right and they're brand new, I can put them in another project that I will keep. The Mastercraft seats, also really cool, but I have to buy adapters to make those seats work. So the simplest system sometimes is just to keep it stock. So I looked around and I actually had a set of YJ seats in the shop. These are from my girlfriend's Jeep. She has a YJ, she wanted new seats. I think she got seats from Rugged Ridge. So these were kind of sitting in the corner and I was like, you know what, these are gonna go. Unfortunately, the driver's seat is a little beat up, but not so beat up that you couldn't use it. Just beat up enough that they're kind of broken in, like an old pair of shoes. So the idea is we're going to bolt these to the sliders, which I didn't have. I had to order some sliders from Sergeant Jeep. Sergeant Jeep is a Jeep dismantler. You can find them on Facebook. We actually went there when we did the Junkyard YJ episode on Dirt Every Day, and he was able to send me some sliders pretty quick, and so now I can bolt all this together. You basically bolt the sliders to the risers or the brackets that go to the floor, and then you bolt all of that to the bottom of the seat, and then it'll all just drop into the Jeep. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. All right, let's get to work. This is the passenger side bracket. This is a fold and tumble bracket. It has a lever right here on the side, which allows the seat to flip forward so that the passenger seat can move forward and a back seat person can climb in. I don't have a back seat. It doesn't really need a fold and tumble, but I have it. It's what we're going to use. These are the sliders. And the way this works is there's one side that has holes at each far end. And those are the side that bolts to the bottom of the seat. And then the piece that goes inside here, the slide portion, has narrower holes, and those bolt to the riser, as they call it, or the bracket. In order to do this, you're also going to have this piece, which is the bar, which goes in between the sliders. There's actually a slider on each side. So it's kind of a little bit of a puzzle. You have to assemble everything together. The first step, though, is to bolt this onto the fold and tumble part, and then bolt all of this to the bottom of the seat. Now, the other thing is the bolts that you're going to use, I'm using these little Allen head bolts because they have to fit inside there. So as you can see, they drop in there, and then you can tighten them with an Allen bolt, an Allen wrench. If you try to use a regular bolt, you probably can't get a head on it or a wrench on it. So this is how we're going to set that up. That will come in here and bolt right down on there. And then the passenger side will do the same. Right before you bolt the passenger side on, though, you want to put the tube or the bar that goes underneath the seat. So it all kind of assembles together. I did put a little bit of anti-seize on the thread holes because these are threaded into the bracket. Once you have the bracket kind of mocked up, you'll want to push down on each slider and slide it forward. Doing the same over here. You want to slide this forward enough that you can reveal the hole on the back there and get the bolt in the back. It's kind of hard to see in the darkness, but there's a hole in the back. So you need, it's kind of, this is the juggling part where you have to get all of these moved forward enough, locked into place. Then make sure the bar is on here. And then put the bolt down through. Just get it started, and then swing the other one into place. And you can tighten them. The final step is to bolt all of this bracketry to the bottom of the seat. And you kind of have to get two of the bolts in. These are the bolts that came with the sliders. Notice how they have like a point to help get them lined up perfectly in the bottom of the seat. They're also a Torx, so you're going to need this type of socket. It's a, it looks like a T40, and then that will go together. So you slide the slider forward, and then you're going to want to get these in there started. Now, you have two choices. You can either run these down tight. I think I'm going to get them pretty close to tight, and then slide the whole thing forward and get the back two bolts in. Once I get the front started, flip the thing over, and now I can put the back two bolts in. These bolt in pretty easy. Then you grab your impact once everything's started. And just like that, you have the seat on the slider, on the bracket. That slides back. Come back in and tighten up the front 2 bolts. And now this can go up in its home in the front of the Jeep. Final step, bolt the seats into the bottom of the tub. Should be pretty simple. The seats have all the brackets all lined up. The tub has 4 threaded holes in the bottom of the tub. Actually, the driver's side has 2 threaded holes. The passenger side has 4. And you would think that even though the seat is metric and the riser is metric, that these holes would be metric. But they're not. These are standard. These use 3/8 bolts to hold the seat bracket down. Why is this standard and that's metric? I don't know. It's kind of like all the YJ stuff. Why is the headlights changed from round to square? Why? Because it's a YJ, that's why. All right, let's swing this into place. There we go. There's probably nice factory hardware somewhere that is lost over the years. So I'm going to use a grade 8 bolt with a lock washer and a flat washer. The holes line up on the bottom of the bracket, perfect with the holes in the tub. So assemble your washers and bolts, drop it all in there, get them all started, and then tighten them up. Now we're going to move on to the driver's side. It's pretty much identical except for the bracketry. This driver's side Jeep does not have a fold and tumble. There's probably a fold and tumble option, but I don't have that. Though there is something you need to watch out for. This is the outside bracket. It has a stud that drops down there that will go through the floor and you'll put a nut and a washer on it. This is the inside bracket. It has a stud also, but the stud does not go, the stud goes towards the back. On the inside bracket, the stud goes towards the front on the outside bracket. So it's going to sit in the floor like this. The only reason you need to know that is because when you mount this on the bottom of the seat, you want to have these parts at the front of the sliders, and you want to have these parts where the bar is so that you can adjust the seat front and back. Otherwise, you're going to do the same thing. You're going to take the sliders, you're going to slide them out, get the bolt in there. It'll drop down. You'll have to slide it out so you can get that bolt hole lined up. That will be on the front, which again, on the inside piece is the part that doesn't have the stud. Bolt that on there, then slide it forward, get the back bolt in, and then we will, before we assemble it onto the bottom of the seat, we'll have to make sure we have the bar included. Next, we're going to put the driver's seat in place. Again, you're going to use 3/8 bolts instead of metric. There are these 2 studs that stick down. It probably wouldn't hurt to hit those with a little bit of anti-seize just to help keep the nut going on without cross-threading. You're also going to want to make sure that the bolt holes, if they've been sitting for a while like this one has, and there's no You don't know what's gotten down in those threads. It doesn't hurt to run a bolt down through or even a tap and clean them up before you start putting bolts in them. So let's get this lined up with the holes in the tub. Oop. Then you're going to grab a nut and washer, thread it onto this stud on the front. Super easy, it's just right up underneath. Easy to get to. The one on the inside's a little trickier, but not too bad. Get that one started, and then grab a bolt, lock washer, and flat washer to go on into this rear threaded hole. Listen. I got the seats in. They look a little ratty. So I put some seat covers on them. I've had these seat covers in the closet for who knows how long, which is actually part of the reason why I'm building this Jeep, is to get rid of it and get rid of all the other stuff that I've had laying around. I wasn't able to use those seats, but I was able to put the factory Jeep seats back in. The seat covers actually look pretty good because like the Jeep has this kind of black and white theme going. The black and white, black and gray seat covers fit in perfect. And when you get in here, you can fit under the steering wheel. You're not all wedged in. You don't really even notice that the bottom of the seat's worn out. I think you could drive this thing across America if you wanted to. I'm hoping that somewhere out there, there's a young woman that's begging her dad or her mom to help her buy this Jeep, and it can be her first Jeep to go four-wheeling. She can drive it to school. She could deliver pizzas with it. I was going to say she could use it as an Uber, but she could really only haul one passenger, so probably don't want to do that. And then she can fix it up, drive the Rubicon Trail, go to Moab, Upper El Dorado, Hell's Revenge, Moab Rim. This Jeep has an awesome future ahead of it. We just have to find the next owner. That's it for this Dirt Daily. Mark another thing off the list. We'll see you guys next time.